on our elders.
Okay.
So is that
I have a couple stickers in here.
okay? It's gonna be 80. You can just set it with the bag.
Okay. They go in there, they got all them pieces from.
close and hand-sewn applique. The dressmaker simply takes a series of measurements from the person who will wear the dress and cuts out the shapes that will make up each part of the dress. A white apron trimmed in the color of the dress completes the woman's traditional outfit. Men's shirts, designed with either a round neckline or an open collar and applique work on the front and sleeves, are made in much the same way. Choctaw dresses are usually trimmed with one of three motifs: full diamond, half diamond, or a series of circles and crosses that may represent stickball and stickball sticks, but may have their origins in earlier designs. The diamond design, which is often seen on Choctaw baskets as well, is said to represent the eastern diamondback rattlesnake. A few elders still prefer Choctaw dresses for everyday wear. These dresses are made from a print fabric and are shorter than the dresses worn for dancing. Instead of time-consuming hand applique, these dresses are usually trimmed with commercial trim. Most Choctaws today wear Choctaw dresses and shirts mainly for special occasions. They are made from cotton fabric in solid colors with a contrasting trim. Occasionally, women choose silk or velvet fabric for traditional dresses, usually for events such as the Choctaw Indian Princess pageant. Prepared by family, neighbors. Food is a central part of many kinds of Choctaw gatherings. Families and friends come together around a table to celebrate birthdays, weddings, and reunions. Food prepared by family, neighbors, and friends is shared at wakes, along with memories of loved ones who have passed on. Church meetings and school spring festivals include community meals. For generations, Mississippi Choctaws grew vegetables, raised livestock, hunted, and fished to put food on the table. Two dishes in particular, hominy and banaha, became staples of the Choctaw diet and are still traditional favorites. Hominy is made from corn that is dried in the husk. The traditional cooking process takes several hours, with the hominy simmering in a large iron pot over an open fire. Before most Choctaw homes had electricity, food was prepared indoors in a wood-burning stove or outside over an open fire. Whenever possible, people would often cook outdoors to avoid heating up the house and to minimize the danger of fire. Today, Choctaw still prepare hominy outside when cooking for large groups, not only because it is traditional, but because it is still the best way to ensure a proper cooking time. Choctaw pottery is one of the more ancient art forms of the Choctaws that predate European contact. The unique pottery designs and effigies serve as a window to the ancient Choctaw life. It links modern Choctaw culture to the mound-building societies of the Mississippian period. The ancestors of the Choctaw people of today once used pottery for cooking, storing food, water vessels, ceremonial purposes, and as trade goods. Now Choctaw ceramics are esteemed for their artistic value as well as their historical significance. Traditionally, Mississippi creeks and riverbanks serve as the source for pottery making material and is the starting point of the pottery making process. Once the right type of clay is gathered at these sites, it is cleansed of all its impurities. Roots, small gravel, and any other unwanted material are removed because of the possible damages they can cause during the firing process. After the cleaning, the clay is allowed to dry for a few days. Once the clay dries to a workable condition, Choctaw potters begin shaping their work of art using only their hands and a few choice tools. Upon completion of the desired shape and design, the pottery is left to dry. When it is completely dry, they are placed in a firing pit to be fired under the watchful eye of the potter. The process of heating is complete when the pieces turn glowing red, then they are allowed to cool down. The Choctaw potter is never sure of the outcome of his work until the embers die down and the pots are cool. Each masterpiece is successful if it survives the firing process without breaking. The tradition of Choctaw pottery has survived through the centuries until the late 19th century. For a moment in time, the practice ceased until a spark of interest was rekindled in the hearts of a few Choctaws. In the mid-1940s, L.D. John became interested in Choctaw pottery making. Soon after, Grady John followed his cousin L.D. in reviving the craft. Both men worked at the Chucalissa Museum in Memphis, Tennessee, where they shared their skills in traditional pottery making with others. In the 1970s, Laura Solomon took up the art at the promptings of Grady John and is now one of a few active Choctaw potters. In recent years, the Mississippi Band of Choctaw Indians has begun efforts to inspire members of the tribe to take up the craft of Choctaw pottery to ensure its continuance unto the next generation of Choctaws.
Stickball has been a part of Choctaw life for centuries. The ancient game is played by two opposing teams using handcrafted sticks and a woven leather ball. The teams compete in a fierce effort to advance the ball down the field to the other team's goal post. Players are not allowed to touch the ball with their hands. Points are scored when a player hits the goal post with the ball. The game is a warrior's game. Historically, the game was used to settle disputes with neighboring tribes. These games were hard-fought contests that could involve as few as 20 or as many as 300 players. So fierce were the games at times that it was named the Little Brother of War. When the first Choctaw Indian Fair was held in 1949, stickball was an important event, but it involved only a handful of teams. Today, over 30 teams compete for championship titles in single elimination divisional tournaments. The men's championship game closes out the fair with the fans filling the Choctaw Central High School football stadium to cheer their teams on.
Now we're on the west side.
Modern stickball has a few more rules than its historical predecessor. The game is played in 4 15-minute quarters. The appearance of the players is different too. For most of the 20th century, players wore handmade uniforms consisting of pants and pullover shirts that were decorated with the diamond patterns found on traditional clothing. In the late 1970s, their uniform gave way to gym shorts and t-shirts. Many players now wear headbands with a diamond design in community colors. Many Choctaw men and women, as well as youth, proudly play this ancient game of their ancestors. For them, stickball remains a uniquely Choctaw sport and a symbol of their tribal identity. According to legend, the ancestors of the Choctaw people migrated from the west in search of a better land. Over the passage of time, the weary travelers reached a place in the east that was destined to be their new home. There they found a vast territory filled with wild game, fertile ground for planting, creeks and rivers overflowing with fish, and abundance of resources available for their use to meet their needs. All throughout their journey, the Creator had guided the people by a special staff. Each morning, the staff would lead towards the direction of which the group should travel for the day. This continued until the people reached what is now known as Naniwaya. The sacred staff marked the site of Naniwaya as their new home by standing straight up and never leaning again. There, the Choctaw established themselves and flourished as a mighty nation. The Naniwaya Mound came to be known as the Mother Mound of the Choctaws. It stands as a reminder of how they came to be as a people. Further to the southeast of Naniwaya sits the sister mound called the Naniwaya Gate Mound. The mounds are separated by the Naniwaya Creek. The mounds belonged to the Choctaw people until 1830, when the Treaty of Dancing Rabbit Creek was signed. The mounds fell into the hands of settlers who used the lands for farming. To them, Naniwaya held no sacred value and was cultivated for farming and fenced in for raising cattle. For Mississippi Choctaws, Naniwaya stands as a reminder that this was and is their homeland. broke.
For centuries, Choctaw basket makers have created works of art from the swamp cane that flourishes along Mississippi Creek banks. When a present-day basket maker seeks out, cuts, and prepares her cane, she uses the same methods as generations of Choctaw women before her. She also adds her own innovations that reflect the cane and treasured collections. Basket making begins with gathering the cane. This is not an easy task, since cane grows in wet, swampy areas and is increasingly difficult to find. Fall is the best time to harvest cane, but it may be cut at other times of the year if the need arises. The ideal size is a matter of individual preference. Most basket makers like to work with cane that has matured to a height of at least 6 feet. Once the cane is cut, the weaver uses a small sharp knife to slice the thin top layer into strips. A skilled maker can get from 4 to 6 strips from a single piece of cane, but this is a matter of individual preference. The next step is to dye the cane strips. Originally, basket makers used natural materials such as berries, flowers, roots, or bark to color the cane. Commercial dyes are used almost exclusively today because of their durability and the wide range of colors available. Basket makers create a variety of patterns by weaving together the colored and natural strips of cane. While traditional forms such as the egg basket and traditional patterns like the diamond design are common, many basket makers like to experiment with color, pattern, and shape. Choctaws have kept with the times, but still hold strong to their traditions. Basket makers express themselves the same way other artists do. There are certain rules to follow when creating a work of art, such as the technique, but ultimately, the final product reflects the imagination and aesthetics of its creator.